Though little seems damaged at first, the team moves deeper inside Drift's minicons, ask if they've studied enough to work independently, showing their eagerness to assist. Unbeknownst to the Autobots, Stockade is observing from a distance, aiming to seize the cache. At the cache door, Sideswipe assumes the security is down, but is knocked back by an invisible force field. Windblade notes Lightbenders have rendered the field invisible and observes it's damaged, but intact. As they check the cache, a swarm of minicons attacks. Drift tries to seal it, but his students ignore his orders. Spotting a large weapon being set up, Drift throws them aside and takes a leg hit. Stockade presses the advantage, but Drift locks himself inside. The others retreat, with Sideswipe, Slipstream, and Jetstorm sheltering in an armory, while Optimus and Windblade hide in a bunker. Stockade issues a public demand, threatening the Autobots' lives unless they give him access to the cache. Trapped with an injured Drift, Optimus contacts the scrapyard, but Fix-It can't reach Bumblebee's team. He updates them on Stockade's situation. Drift is ordered to make his own broadcast, bluffing that he has a doomsday device capable of destroying Earth. If Stockade doesn't leave, Stockade ignores the warning and has his troops scan the cache. Drift's minicons confess to Sideswipe that they ignored their master's orders, causing his injury. Using their idea, Sideswipe, Jetstorm, and Slipstream quickly neutralize the troops trying to capture him. When Stockade's scan is reported, he orders an attack on the cache entrance. Drift, despite his injury, uses the cache's weaponry to help fight back. Optimus and Windblade are freed, reinforcing Drift. The Autobots overcome Stockade's forces, with Sideswipe defeating Stockade by launching Drift's minicons at him. Grimlock arrives to carry Drift back for repairs, and Optimus calls for a return to the scrapyard. Using their idea, Sideswipe, Jetstorm, and Slipstream quickly neutralize the troops trying to capture him. When Stockade's scan is reported, he orders an attack on the cache entrance. Drift, despite his injury, uses the cache's weaponry to help fight back. Optimus and Windblade are freed, reinforcing Drift. The Autobots overcome Stockade's forces, with Sideswipe defeating Stockade by launching Drift's minicons at him. Grimlock arrives to carry Drift back for repairs, and Optimus calls for a return to the scrapyard. Meanwhile, the Autobots brainstorm ways to tackle the heavily guarded island. Cybertronian reinforcements are out, and they lack enough stasis pods, but they do have Windblade's cryogas, which Ratchet suggests using to make a stasis bomb. The team splits up under Optimus's orders, with Bumblebee still clashing over leadership. Windblade devises a plan. Grimlock is modified with Decepticon insignias to pose as a prisoner transport, with one of Denny's boats carrying the Autobots feigning unconsciousness. They reach the island, and Grimlock knocks out suspicious guards. Inside the ship, they are shocked at the number of Decepticons and the enslaved minicons, and Steeljaw arrives with the deposed leadership, welcoming them to the first outpost of his new Decepticon empire. The Autobots, having infiltrated the crashed Alchemore, find themselves surrounded by Decepticons. Saberhorn and Steeljaw argue over Steeljaw's leadership coup, and though Glowstrike considers striking, Steeljaw's possession of 2 Decepticon hunters stops her. Optimus Prime and Bumblebee clash over their next move, prompting Windblade to take off as a distraction. The other Autobots make a run for it. Though Drift and Bumblebee are hit by Steeljaw's fire, they escape, but at the cost of Windblade and Bumblebee's Decepticon hunter. As Windblade is carried away, Glowstrike grabs the lost weapon, intending to reclaim leadership, only to be blasted by Steeljaw, who claims the weapon for himself. Bumblebee and Optimus clash again over command, and the team splits. Drift and Ratchet head to rescue Windblade. Strongarm, Sideswipe, and Grimlock aim to free the captive minicons, and Bumblebee, Optimus, and Toolbox proceed with the stasis bomb plan. Meanwhile, Fix-It steals a boat to help the minicons. Just as Drift and Ratchet arrive to confront Overload, a fierce battle erupts, and the Autobots are thrown into stasis pods, though Drift's minicons evade capture. Strongarm, Sideswipe, and Grimlock discover a communications room that can deactivate the inhibitor collars enslaving the minicons. Before they can act, Ground Pounder and Thunderhoof confront them. Meanwhile, Bumblebee and Optimus argue, finally resolving leadership, allowing Bumblebee to take charge. At the ventilation hub, they begin planting the cryo bomb but are interrupted by Steeljaw, now empowered by combining his Decepticon hunters. Fix-It navigates the ship and protects enslaved Minicons, while Jetstorm and Slipstream free Ratchet and Windblade, who eliminate Overload's Strongarm's team, incapacitates Ground Pounder and Thunderhoof, deactivating the inhibitor collars and freeing the Minicons. Inside, Crustacean continues searching for his missing Shanix, and Strongarm recognizes him from the most wanted list. Bumblebee, Strongarm, and Sideswipe move in, but Crustacean easily knocks Strongarm and Sideswipe aside before getting his claw stuck in a railing. Bumblebee reaches for his missing Decepticon hunter, then switches to his blaster, but Crustacean frees himself using eye lasers and demands to know where his stolen loot is. Outside, the Con crushes Drift and escapes, while Grimlock's attack attempt fails. The Autobots split up to track him down. Meanwhile, Bumblebee finds the human workers hiding nearby and assures them they're safe. Back at base, Fix-It connects his video game to the command center, attempting to reprogram it, or as Russell says, cheat. The plan fails, earning Fix-It yet another game over. Meanwhile, Bumblebee's team discovers Crustacean raiding the rest of Windblade's cache, blasting it open with his eye lasers. When no Shanix appear, he angrily tosses the contents aside, accidentally causing an explosion that alerts the Autobots. Crustacean flees into an ice cave, but when he hits a dead end, he collapses the ceiling on them. Grimlock recalls Drift's teachings and, surprisingly, uses his tail to knock down a stalactite, freeing the team with thermoswords from their Decepticon hunters. Sideswipe and Strongarm finish breaking out, and they resume the chase. Outside, the glacier begins collapsing. Bumblebee, Drift, and Grimlock dive underwater, where Crustacean digs into the seabed. Grimlock finally masters Drift's technique, using Crustacean's own claws to knock him out. The Autobots save the humans, secure the caches, and return home, while Fix-It accidentally destroys his game. Team B arrives through a ground bridge and spots a plane trailing smoke. Bumblebee calls Fix-It, who says the plane will crash near one of Windblade's caches. To prevent discovery, Sideswipe climbs a cliff to intercept it, but the cliff collapses beneath him. Just before he falls, Blur speeds in and saves him. Grimlock's fall buries the rest of the team under rubble, while Bumblebee catches the plane by its landing wheels, preventing a crash. Blur greets Sideswipe excitedly, but Sideswipe feels annoyed that the newcomer stole his moment. The team finds Windblade's cache full of supplies and a stasis pod holding Ragebite, a Sharkticon scientist fearing explosives are inside. They take everything back to the scrapyard. Blur joins them, but Sideswipe grows jealous. Later, Sideswipe's recklessness sends the supplies and pod into a river, freeing Ragebite, who escapes to find polystyrene. The Autobots regroup as Bumblebee sends Drift to fetch a jet boat. Blur and Sideswipe reach the docks, with Sideswipe still grumbling that Blur wants his spot on the team. Inside a warehouse, they find Ragebite feeding polystyrene into his device. When Blur steps on packaging foam, the noise alerts Ragebite, forcing them to hide Sideswipe attacks but is blasted after Ragebite tricks him. Blur grabs the bomb and leads the chase outside, where the team tries to trap Ragebite, but he escapes into the river. Drift arrives with Denny's boat, which Sideswipe takes over, knocking Drift into the water. Blur joins him, assuring he just wants to help. They chase Ragebite until he tricks them into hitting a buoy, sinking the boat. Ragebite attaches the bomb to Crown City Bridge. The Autobots rush to stop him, but Ragebite defeats several of them. Sideswipe knocks him out while Blur saves the day by ditching the bomb safely. Back home, Bumblebee makes Blur Sideswipe's temporary intern. A Decepticon speeds down a forest road with the B team in pursuit. Strongarm, Sideswipe, and Blur bicker over who should make the arrest until Fix-It radios them with information. The target is a Skunkticon named Zorilor darts into a cave, shooting at the Autobots while mentioning his pal. So Bumblebee leaves Strongarm and Drift to check for other exits and leads Sideswipe and Blur inside Sideswipe's spots, a spike-filled pit hidden by a hologram, but accidentally triggers a tripwire. The trio narrowly escapes as the cave walls start closing in, only to find their way out blocked. Meanwhile, Zoriller prepares to flee but runs into Drift and Strongarm. He sprays them with blinding liquid, yet Drift, relying on his training, disarms the skunk Tycon until Jetstorm and Slipstream capture him, forcing him to drop a mysterious yellow sphere. Back at the scrapyard, the Autobots and Fix-It analyze it, discovering it matches the legendary Sphere of Doradus, containing a city map but dangerous if mishandled. The team resolves to return it to Cybertron, with plenty volunteering. That night, Denny finds Bumblebee guarding the sphere and acting strangely. When Bumblebee accuses him of trying to steal it, they realize the sphere is missing. Strongarm tries to sneak off with it, prompting Bumblebee to tackle her, and soon the rest of the team joins, sparking a chaotic struggle. Grimlock grabs the sphere and runs, with Sideswipe and Strongarm in pursuit, while Denny and Russell follow in Denny's truck. On an elevated highway, possession passes rapidly between Grimlock, Sideswipe, and Strongarm until Springload suddenly appears and escapes with it. Out of range, the Autobots shake off the sphere's influence, and Fix-It warns that opening it could destroy the city. The team races to a particle accelerator, wrapping the sphere in foil to block its emissions. After a final struggle, they subdue Springload, and the sphere shatters back at the scrapyard. They dump the pieces in a compactor, unaware a holographic map flickers briefly before disappearing. In a forest clearing, Dragstrip and Wildbreak discuss a device Dragstrip borrowed from Motormaster, hoping to use it to track Cybertronian technology and earn favor with their boss. Despite Wildbreak's concern that the target is in the middle of a human city, the pair set off to retrieve it. Meanwhile, in the scrapyard, Fix-It searches for parts to build a new Decepticon hunter for Bumblebee, but comes up empty-handed. Following Bumblebee's suggestion, he checks Windblade's caches for confiscated weapons Blur races past, narrowly missing Denny and Russell, and celebrates with Sideswipe after retrieving pistons in record time. The rescue bots want Blur back, but Sideswipe keeps him busy with chores under the guise of training. Feeling sidelined, Bumblebee complains to Denny that he doesn't feel one of the bots. Their conversation is interrupted when Fix-It discovers records of a Decepticon hunter in West Rock, a densely populated island city. Bumblebee decides to take only Strongarm, leaving Blur disappointed. On the way to West Rock, Bumblebee asks Strongarm if the rest of the team considers him cool, but she awkwardly changes the subject. Meanwhile, Dragstrip and Wildbreak track the cache's energy signature to a storage facility. Breaking into a unit, Dragstrip discovers it appears empty until he crashes through the floor, triggering defense systems that briefly freeze him. Wildbreak frees him, and when Bumblebee and Strongarm arrive, they find Wildbreak in vehicle mode attached to a trailer full of tech. Bumblebee tries a cool arrest, but Strongarm calls for backup. Dragstrip uses Wildbreak to disrupt the Autobots' stabilizers, knocking them over, and is pleased with the captured Autobots and cache contents. Just as he contemplates a promotion, Sideswipe and Drift arrive via ground bridge. Grimlock's sudden appearance forces Wildbreak to flee, and Dragstrip blows up the remaining cache before following. The Autobots extinguish the fire and split up to track the cons. But Bumblebee's plan to beat them to the bridge via drainage tunnels fails when the path is blocked, leaving his cool recovery less than impressive. The Autobots track Dragstrip and Wildbreak to a parking garage, leaving Sideswipe and Blur on guard while Bumblebee and Drift head inside. At the top, the Stunticons merge into Dragbrake, crashing through the floor onto the Autobots. Sideswipe and Blur arrive to help, and Bumblebee, attempting to be cool, charges Dragbrake but is nearly knocked off the building before Blur catches him. Sideswipe holds Dragbrake back while Drift rescues Bee. Encouraged to act like a leader, Bumblebee devises a plan and drops the roof onto Dragbrake, though the Decepticon hunter explodes. Emerging from the flames with Dragstrip and Wildbreak, the Autobots dodge falling debris, only to find the Stunticons have escaped. They do manage to retrieve the trailer containing the remaining cache. After regrouping with Strongarm and Grimlock, the team says farewell to Blur, with with both he and Sideswipe complimenting Bumblebee on his